how are y'all?
Good.
Hey, glad y'all came out tonight.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
Yeah, I think so anyway. We'll figure this out after a little bit, though. I'm going to read something I wrote about, I wrote it in June of 2013, and this is called Songs My Father Barely Knew, and it's about my late father. My father was many things: a farm kid, a country boy, a ditch digger, a quick study who hated school, an automotive repair genius, a Vietnam veteran, 5'7" and 155 pounds on a good day. Newt Williams was a Southerner, a capital R redneck, a loyal brother, a dutiful son, a proud parent. But he was not a singer. For nearly 2 decades, my mother said he couldn't carry a tune. That was just the divorce talking. Daddy could hear and repeat notes. He had a clear, confident tenor voice and a strong sense of rhythm. The problem was that he could never recall more than a few lines of any song. Textual memorization never did fit into his hands-on world. Happy Birthday was probably the number he knew best, but still, sometimes he faltered. He had to hear a tune many, many times before it would burn into his brain. Only then could he remember enough to sing a few lines. And sing a few lines he did. Daddy was always singing. At 5:30 in the morning, under the weird orange glow of the bathroom heat lamp, while cranking open a family-sized can of Dinty Moore beef stew, while tearing kudzu out of the azaleas that grew between the clothesline and the outhouse. He sang while barreling down Interstate 20. In a worn-out station wagon he never could completely rid of low country dirt. He sang while inspecting a broken vacuum cleaner. He sang while cheering us up. He sang while calming us down. My father sang from behind his safety helmet in the skin-scalding light of the arc welder. He sang from the deck of a lowboy trailer as he tied down machinery with chains weighing as much as he did. He sang from a dinky motel room in Carrollton as he and his brother planned their construction equipment exodus under the looming violence of Hurricane Hugo. He sang while sweating clean through his work uniform in hateful South Carolina heat, and while waist-deep in evil, brackish water as his crew installed the drain culvert. He sang while picking up the day's 7th load of 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, and while accidentally reversing the tractor clutch pressure plate on which he had just spent $200 and a trip into town. Not knowing what was to come for himself or for any of us, Daddy belted out his 3 or 4 chosen lines no matter what. Chances are he sang a few bars of something as he drove to the job site the morning my uncle shot him twice in the back of the head at point-blank range. Daddy may have burst into song wherever and whenever the urge struck, but he was particular about his audience. He sang to my sister and me, to our mother before they split, to our stepmother and step-siblings, and to our cousins, but not to his own friends or siblings. His songs were for those closest to him, and conveyed the love that his words usually did not. His catalog, too, spoke volumes about his life and times, which often brimmed with bewildering loss and deep regret. His set list included hard country singers such as Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, and Waylon Jennings, countrypolitan and the Nashville sound, a la Jim Reeves and Charlie Rich, showed up now and again. Movie musicals, 1980s pop hits, Christmas classics, one-off novelty tunes, and most everything Elvis were in there, too. If a particular medley appeared in our school marching band's show one season, Daddy would add a couple of those to the rotation. Gospel standards also sneaked into his repertoire. This made sense for a man who, every trip home, attended his elderly mother's tiny, nearly dead Methodist circuit church in the hope that one day he might finally let himself believe the unbelievable. Though I have not heard his voice in almost 18 years, the songs my father barely knew still comfort me. As I stand in line at the drugstore, Glenn Campbell's voice on the PA melds into Daddy's. I am a lineman for the county. At the supermarket, I stare into the lunch meat case, and the ooh-ah of Huey Lewis and the News, Stuck With You, startles me into tears. Fragments of hooks and choruses and pedestrian locations ambush me with reminders of my father. The melodies and words coalesce into a musical Morse code from beyond. I'm proud of you. You can make it. You know what you're doing. But I do not know what I'm doing. I've never written publicly about my father. I have no idea what shape this will take or whether I can handle writing it. Some of the Daddy songs I remember may be wrong. What if I mistake one I heard on TV for one of his? What if my words cannot convey the beauty, hurt, and longing behind the lyrics? What if, what if, what if? 4 years ago, immersed in crisis, I visited my father's grave in Heard County, Georgia, for just the third time. My heart freshly seared by the brand of absolute, undeniable professional failure, I lay on the red earth and poured out my sorrow. Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm a disappointment. I tried so hard, but I really am a loser. It's stupid to pretend I'm anything else. You said I had potential, but I don't. I just don't. I could hardly breathe for the crushing sadness. And nothing I do is going to fix things. Not now. Not ever. I'm so sorry, Daddy. The next night, I dreamed I was trying to cross the raging torrent that Little Weadkee Creek, my favorite Alabama childhood swimming hole, had become after an epic storm. Beneath a brutal and massive concrete overpass, the Little Weadkee rushed through the culverts at levels far beyond flood stage. The roar of near-white water so filled my ears that I could not even hear my own screams. Knowing I would drown whether I remained on shore or attempted to cross, I froze at the water's edge. Trees, cars, homes, and children's stuffed toys swept helplessly past. While alive, Daddy refused to believe in an afterlife, which made his presence in this dream even more bizarre. Suddenly there he was, dressed as always in brown, long-sleeved dickies, his lug-soled boots caked with mud, his sunglasses and welder's soapstone pencil sticking out of a shirt pocket. Without warning or explanation, he grabbed my arm and leapt across the first roaring channel, pulling me shrieking with him. In single bounds, together we broad-jumped 12, 20, 50 feet at a time, barely getting our toes wet as the water eddied below us. Crossing the wider parts of the floodwaters, we rested on low concrete pillars that suddenly appeared in the middle of the rushing water. Then we sprang high and safely to the next foothold. The last swirling section reached at least 50 yards beyond our perch. On the other side, I could see dry land and people huddling together. But there were no pillars in this part of flooded creek. No, nothing but more terrifying churning water waiting to suck me under for good. I looked again to my father. Daddy, this one's too... He surveyed the waters, hands on hips, standing motionless. After a moment, he waved me away with the same gesture he used to send me back to the stockpile for another case of gaskets. Tell you what, you go on ahead. You'll be all right. You know what you're doing. A lump of squall rose in my throat. My feet seemed to grow roots where I stood. But with a strange calm and patience that I rarely saw when he was alive, Daddy motioned again in the direction of the far shore. Now get on over yonder. Go on. Anything happens, I'll be right here. Before I knew it, I jumped and found myself safely on the other side, yards away from where I began and high above the water. Daddy, by that point a tiny figure, far out of shouting range, became a speck and then vanished completely. With that dream in mind, I begin. I am not sure how good this will be. I am not sure which songs to write about first. Still, the stories from A Life Ended Too Soon plead with me to make sense of convoluted scenes and thwarted dreams. I write, knowing that even as I am compelled to share my father's life through the songs that he sang, I risk running off the ghost. I risk chasing away this ghost that shadows my dreams in my waking hours, that haunts and harrows me, that makes me laugh, that keeps me ever vigilant. In sharing my father's favorite tunes, I may banish him forever. I may inadvertently put his ghost to rest. If and when it disappears, it will take with it the last recollections I have of him. Not mawkish, maudlin old things remembered, but ragged scraps of an increasingly distant past. Past I wish were so very different. I write my father's story in song in spite of, and because of, all this. I have to. Maybe, through a moth-eaten patchwork of obscure lyrics and dissipating memories, I can tell my father's story as unflinchingly as possible. Not to write it down would be an unpardonable sin. The sin of ignoring what I am called to do. As Daddy often said, I'm fixing to do something, even if it's wrong. Thank you.